Hi, and welcome to a new video where I talk about something on the internet that I do not quite understand. And today I wanted to talk about romanticizing your life. Because I understand that mundane tasks such as doing the dishes and doing laundry are boring, and the world is a sad dystopian place if you overthink it too much. And I understand that you want to escape that sometimes, and to not think about those things, to be happy in life. I understand that. But for the past few years I have seen those romanticizing your life TikToks popping up on my feed sometimes from time to time, and 9 out of 10 times they make me want to facepalm for some reason, and I don't really know why, but I think it has something to do with the fact that I despise toxic positivity, and that I personally think that we do need to face reality sometimes. So today I wanted to dive into that. Before we get started though, I am putting myself through art school, and that is hard but fun, but also hard. I'm learning a lot, but you can help me with that by watching my videos and subscribing. I would appreciate that a lot. I'm trying to gather 1,000 of you by the start of summer, and we're great on the way, so thank you so much for that. And if you want to join, I would love to have you on this journey with me, and I would appreciate that a lot. I also sell these scenes that I made. They're called A Cup of Dopamine, and it's about ADHD and my mild coffee addiction and other addiction people have. It's like written like you're going through my notebook with little comics and drawings and stuff, and I'm really proud of it. You can get it. I try to make the price and shipping accessible for everyone if you want that, and if you're into that, the link is down below here. And it's also about being kind to yourself, which I find very, very important, which is also kind of the topic of this video in a way. So let's get started with the actual video.
What I hate is when someone tells you that something will work really well, but they don't tell you how to do it for yourself, right? So it's like gatekeeping without gatekeeping, and I feel like a lot of people are doing that lately about talking about romanticizing your life. I think if you want to romanticize your life, you actually need the steps to know that. So I'm going to give you guys a very detailed list here on what we're going to do and the steps we're going to take to actually romanticize your life and what's going to work for you. So the very first step is going to be that you need to figure out exactly what you would like your ideal life to look like. And this is going to take a little bit of research. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to go on any of those like personality quiz type of apps. I'm serious. I want you to know your human design, your whole birth chart for astrology. I want you to know your Briggs-Meyer, your Enneagram, any of those types of things. I want you to have a detailed list of every single thing that you are and actually look into it and read up on it. Because at first, before we do anything else about romanticizing your life, you need to know who you are, and it's fun. It's fun. Remember the old Cosmopolitan magazines and like the personality quizzes? Come on, it's fun. Just start there first.
Okay, so these personality quizzes maybe spark some inspiration for thinking about who you are, but wow, they are not going to tell you who you are. Like, if they suggest something and you align with that, you can think about that, but they're not really scientifically proven most of the time, or any time. I'm not really sure about that. I feel like they would be mandatory to do in school if they were scientifically proven, which would make the world even more dystopian, so I'm not sure if I would want that. Like, that's some Divergent type stuff. Anyhow, they're not going to tell you who you are. They might be able to help you to find out who you are, but they're not. You need to think about that too, you know? And I say that as someone who is into astrology, and I know all my astrology things because I looked that up and wrote it down somewhere. Like, I spent hours doing that, and it still didn't tell me who I was. It made me think about it, and I like doing it because I find it interesting, but it's not who you really are or what you want in life. Like, figuring out who you are and what you want to do in life is important from time to time, but there are two actual things that will actually help you with that, and that is thinking about that and doing things to see if you like doing them or not. Also, I really have no clue how these would romanticize your life. Like, for sure, it's great to figure out what you want in life, but that's just a nice human task in general, I would say. Otherwise, that's not just romanticizing your life, that's just figuring out what you want in life, which is a great thing to do in general for every human.
Then from there, I want you to forget about the vacation part of your life, that 20% or 10% of your life that's already going to be easy to romanticize, going out with friends, going to concerts, going on vacation. And we're going to think about the things in your day that are day-to-day things, daily tasks, weekly tasks, and things that you just don't look forward to. So let's make a list of all the things that we don't look forward to first, the things that are actually kind of messing up your flow and making your mental space a little crowded. What are those things for you? Then you're going to take those things and you're going to find ways to make that activity or that daily task funner, more aesthetic, more exciting.
I don't know if it's just me, but I do not have an opinion about taking my vitamins because it literally takes 10 seconds to do that. I don't hate it. Obviously, I don't love it, but it's just a thing. Thinking about how I would romanticize taking my vitamins is the part that would make it a lot harder for me to take my vitamins, but that might just be me, you know?
Make it feel good. And I want you to go back to some of the things you learned about yourself when you took those personality quizzes and you figured out maybe you're a vintage baddie or you are a cottagecore type of gal. Think of these things as your core beliefs. Think about a lot of things that you love, things that would describe your style, your aesthetic, your ideal home decor. Go to Pinterest, figure out what you like about these things, and don't worry, we're gonna do this on a budget. Then there's a few things from here we can do. We can find out ways to make things more aesthetic. Hey, I thrifted a lot of my decor, my glasses, things that just make little things like cooking, like having my glass of water in the morning, or my tea, things that I can do to make these tasks and these times of day more fun, more romantic, make me feel a little bougier, getting dressed, making things more aesthetically pleasing. So the first step is to find ways we can change the aesthetic around a lot of these times of day or tasks that we have to do. So change the aesthetic. Then, if you can't change the aesthetic, change the playlist, okay? Add music, make some playlists, find some cool people on Spotify, okay? And if you can't do that, and last but not least, if you can't find anything that you can do to make this more aesthetic or more entertaining or listen to something cool while you're doing it, pair it with something you love to do. Laundry, my glass of wine. It makes it fun.
I too find it nice to be surrounded by stuff that fits my aesthetic, but isn't that just decorating your house? Like, I get that decorating your house in your style makes you feel good, but I again don't see how that is romanticizing your life. Like, I also know that a lot of people skip the decorating your house how you like it, or want to fit into the aesthetic of like what is normal or whatever. And there is this person on, here's a picture, this fantastic person, or there are multiple people that are fantastic that are decorating your house, but there's this fantastic person on Instagram that I follow that decorates their house in an aesthetic that is not considered normal, or, well, it's not like beige mom vibes. It's the opposite of that. And that's lovely. Well, they made videos about that. I think that I realize now that I don't really know what romanticizing your life entails or is. I don't think that's romanticizing your life. That's just something you do for yourself to make you happy. Maybe it is just doing things that make you happy, but that doesn't make any sense because people want to do things that make them happy most of the time, and we have to do things that don't make us happy a lot of the time. I also don't know what the ultimate romanticized life is, because besides these being things that make you happy, these are a lot of things that a lot of people already do, like decorating your house, or buying things that make life a little easier, or figuring out who you are and what you want in life. So I did look it up on the internet, what romanticizing life is, and according to the New York Times, it's celebrating the little things in life. Now that we have a definition that I like, because I like being like, oh my god, I can cook, I made this when I ate dinner, for example, we can go on. I still don't think that buying aesthetically pleasing cups necessarily fits into this definition, because romanticizing life is a philosophy, like a mindset, and I hope that cups don't have mind-altering substances in them. So a cup won't single-handedly make you feel happy about doing laundry. You still have to think the part about celebrating doing your laundry too, and I really miss that in this video. But let's go and find out more about how to romanticize life, because it sounds like a really hard thing to do.
Welcome to How to Romanticize Your Life, episode 1. Remember that it's not about big epic trips, it's about learning to love your everyday. Enjoying the simple moments, because all of those moments add up. It's learning to love your life, and in order to do that, you have to love yourself first, and you have to practice self-love, because self-love is not selfish. Some ways I romanticize my life are I dress up any given day of the week. I do not need an occasion. I do not need an event or a place. I dress up because it makes me feel good. It brings me joy. What other person to make happy than yourself? I love dressing up in a big, long, flowy dress and then taking the time to walk down my stairs like a princess. Some people might call that silly. Some people may say it's childish, but it brings me joy, and that's all that matters. Make yourself the main character. Create an epic playlist, put it on, and walk around your neighborhood because you are the main character. Ditching my phone. I will never pick up my phone when I'm sad and lonely because it will not make me feel better. I put it down, I light a candle, put some classical music on, pick up a book, and escape in that book. Because losing myself to a story is also romanticizing my life. At the end of the day, you have to be your own best friend. All about learning to love yourself. Take yourself out on a date. You're gonna be with you for the rest of your life, so you might as well enjoy your own company.
I think this is already going a lot better than the first video, but I still think that she's also losing the plot sort of halfway through, or that I'm losing the plot halfway through, because I feel like these are the things that you absolutely have to do to romanticize your life, and that you would somehow become a better version of yourself if you do these things. This video is a how to romanticize your life video and is therefore framed as a tutorial of sorts. Instead, these are suggestions that work for this creator and might work for some other people, but they're just suggestions, and it's not a one-way route to romanticizing your life, because they're also still mostly about doing certain things instead of thinking about celebrating doing those things. These suggestions are not going to magically turn your life into some kind of magic life, if you get what I mean. Self-love is very important, as I said before, I think, but there is something as doing it too much, you know? Somewhere she said that you should act like the main character, and obviously you are, or you should be the main character of your own life, because that's just how it works and how we see the world from the I and me perspective. That's just how life works. You're the main character in your own life. But it can also turn into main character syndrome if you're gonna act like it in a way, like really act like this.
I know people like that who will take any opportunity in the conversation to turn it back about themselves, right? They like the attention. They like the fact that the conversation is about them, especially in a group, right? There's always that one person who is a bit louder, who talks about, their experience. Why? Azura's giving a very weird face. Are you feeling
you think you suffer from main character syndrome?
No, I just get sensitive to the word loud because that's why you all call me all the time.
No, that one person controls the conversation. Do you know what I mean? They might also, expect some sort of special treatment.
Attention?
Exactly. They might expect that, their needs take...
Center stage.
Yeah, let's say you're in a group, right? And you go on holiday, and wherever this person needs to go, like toilet or, stop here, stop there, you always have to adhere to them. But if someone else needs it, this person will be like, never mind lah, we go next.
Right.
Yeah. I know people like...
Because you being the main character in your own life and you deserving self-love does mean that the 8 million other people on this planet also deserve of self-love and also are the main characters in their own life. They're not the main character in a book or a movie because this is, again, life. Nobody is following your life. Or I think that would be very unhealthy if people do that. Like, if they're following you in a Truman Show kind of way, that would be very toxic and stalkerish. You're still the main character in your own life and not in other people's lives, hopefully. I feel like the plot gets lost a lot on the internet when it's about this, or at least on the Instagram and TikTok part of the internet, where romanticizing your life online is ironically very romanticized. Of course, you shouldn't take my word for that, so let's turn to Reddit, the part of the internet where the real people are. It's still the internet, people are still... There are a lot of fake things on Reddit, and people are still being a persona and whatever, but I feel like Reddit being a platform for discussions mostly, you find more like opinions, or like less one-sided opinions. Anyways, we will turn to Reddit and I will read you a Reddit story or question or whatever. The post is called I Cannot Romanticize Life Anymore, and it was posted on the ENFP Reddit. So this person already did a personality test, and surprisingly it didn't solve all their problems. I've realized I've never lived in the present before, ever. I was always thinking about how wonderful my life is gonna be when I'm like 16, 18, 21, 25, no matter how shitty my life was in that point of time. It was my way of coping, romanticizing life. I'm 18 now. High school was never like the movies. There wasn't that clique with friends who we remain close with forever. There wasn't those sneak out at night. There wasn't that love triangle I so hoped I would be part of. There was no butterflies or anything of that sort. It was disappointing. In fact, everything I've romanticized and dreamt about have turned out to be the opposite. Life has been miserable. I'm scared of dreaming. I'm scared of thinking there will be a good life for me out there. I'm scared of thinking there will be a happy ending. I need to live in the present, but the present is so dull and agonizing. I live in the future. The future things I could do, the future people I could meet. I tell myself, hey, it's okay if life is shitty now. Imagine what you could do when you're in another situation. No, it always stays the same. I always stay this lame person. It always ends up back to square one. I used to want to be an actress, one of my many aspirations. I guess it was because I always wanted to live in different scenarios. If it can't happen in my life, why not live it vicariously through my character? I don't know what to do. This explains my issue with the romanticizing life TikToks better than than I did. This person did a lot of dreaming and was utterly disappointed. Now that doesn't mean that you shouldn't dream and that life cannot really get better, but that's the only thing you do and you don't do anything else, and then you turn back to real life for once, you don't want to be there. There's missing a balance here, I think. To be clear, even though we have the New York Times definition of romanticizing life, I think that the TikToks we have seen lean more towards being a main character in a princess book type of romanticizing life, instead of just romanticizing and celebrating the little things in life, as the definition said it was supposed to be about. This Reddit post on r/woman over30 explains that perfectly. It's called "How do you romanticize your life without showing it on social media?" It reads, "I'm being slightly factitious, but I've seen trends on TikToks about romanticizing your life. I could do that too, but I'd be posting it on Instagram and hoping for likes and validation. I've mostly stopped posting, but sometimes I want to share something, but I don't because I know I'm just doing it for validation. As we all hopefully know, social media is not real life. You can say almost whatever you want and put countless filters over everything to just show the things how you want to show them. This kind of reminds me of that day before the TikTok ban, when every influencer or a lot of influencers were exposing themselves and their lies they have told their audiences the day before the TikTok ban. I'm not trying to accuse the TikTok creators we've seen of not romanticizing their own lives in real life in the way that they show us, but I also don't really believe that they live the perfect romantic lives they sometimes seem to be showing on TikTok. Social media can be a nice place to get validation, which can make people feel like they're living their perfect romanticized life temporarily, but if you're just romanticizing your life online, what happens if you actually unplug? You know, when you don't look at your analytics, when you don't look at other people's social media experiences, when you actually read that book that you said you were reading, instead of posting an aesthetically pleasing picture on Instagram. What I'm trying to get at here is that romanticizing your life offline seems to be a very, very different thing from romanticizing your life online, and it also seems way harder to do in real life than on social media. Lastly, we do need to talk about something in the bio of one of those TikTok creators, which is romanticize everything. Because romanticizing everything doesn't sound like a great idea. It kind of reminds me of that trauma candy salad situation. Here's an example of that. Trigger warning for mention of rape, mention of murder, and mention of. If you don't want people to explicitly explain how that happened, please skip to this time mark. There I won't be talking about the specifics of it anymore, or at all. I don't think I'm going to talk about it at all, but if you want to skip that, skip to this time, please. Take care of yourself.
My name's Ray, and when I was 4 years old, my school called my stepdad to ask why I wasn't in school yet, and he said that he had killed me and my entire family, but he ended up shooting off his pinky instead, and he's still in prison for attempted murder. And I brought lifesaver gummies.
My name's Kat, and one time my dad went through a phase of loving steaming broccoli, and so I had to have broccoli for dinner every single night. And I brought M&Ms.
When I was 6 years old, my mom set me on a counter and I was really nervous to jump off of it. And then my stepdad came in and raped her in front of me, and I couldn't do anything about it because I was too scared to jump off of the counter. I just remember screaming, "No!" And I brought Skittles.
Oh my God. One time when I was playing netball when I was 13, my friend made me laugh so hard that I wet myself, and I told people I sat in a puddle, but no one believed me. And I brought peanut M&Ms.
Trauma is a very serious thing, and I hope that the person in this video got some therapy. Anyways, this trend always made me want to cry on the inside because for me it feels like they are actually making light of actual traumatic events by turning it into something entertaining and something to laugh about on the internet. Also, a lot of videos in this trend show that half the internet doesn't even know what actual trauma really is, which also lightens later on the response you get when you say to someone that you're dealing with traumatic stuff, which can be really serious and is really hard. I'm talking from experience here. It is really hard to deal with and shouldn't be made light of. Also, this video did not come with initial trigger warnings. I had to issue those myself. I think that's a problem because you do not want to randomly trigger someone on the internet into spiraling, because that's not fun and that's not nice. And I think it should come with a trigger warning. Some of these do come with a trigger warning. This one didn't, and I don't like that. Is this actually romanticizing trauma? I don't know. I feel like it could be the effect of romanticizing trauma. Romanticizing the things that shouldn't be romanticized, like mental health issues and toxic relationships, make them seem like they're less problematic and lighter than they actually are. And I do think there should be a place on the internet for these things, and that place is the awareness corner of the internet. Is very nice for seriously explaining to people how you feel or what happened to you. And I feel like these stories need to be told, but in a serious manner, so that other people can be aware, other people can reflect on their own situations, and maybe sometimes even think like, oh, I need to get out of this situation, or oh, I need to see a therapist, or oh, I need to see a doctor, but not on the entertainment, light, funny side on the internet. Maybe I actually do feel like the candy trauma salad trend romanticizes trauma in a certain way, because a lot of people want to participate in TikTok trends, and this was a trend, so it feels like trauma is actually something you kind of want to participate in this trend, if you get what I mean. Like, nobody actually wants trauma, but participating in trend seems to be very important to some people. And this results into things like people walking in on their sibling while they are doing fun things with their partner in their own room a traumatic experience, which it probably wasn't. Like, I'm not the one going around and accusing specific people in specific situations of lying and saying that, oh, that isn't a traumatic thing, because I don't know how they feel. But I have seen a lot of these in this research, and that's the reason why I'm not showing these, is that I don't want to go around accusing those people, because I don't know how they feel. But many of them seem like not real traumatic experiences making light of actually traumatic experiences. Because if you say like, yeah, I had to deal with a traumatic experience and it's very hard for me right now, and you don't want to talk about it to them, they're gonna maybe think about things they see online, and those might not be real traumatic experiences. You know, it kind of changes people's perspective in a way that we don't want them to change in that perspective, because it makes it harder for people that are actually dealing with things to be understood, I think. The other issue I have with actually romanticizing everything anytime is that it feels like you're walking away from your actual feelings. Ugly crying and being bored by doing your laundry and feeling like you're a piece of shit are all just part of the normal human experience. If you ask me, those things can even be good for you to experience sometimes, because then you can be happier when it's going nicely, because you have something to measure it against, if that makes sense. I'm not a psychologist, but for me it works this way. If I don't have my very sad experiences, I wouldn't feel very happy at times, you know? So I kind of think that it works like that, and that it's just very healthy to face your negative feelings from time to time. And if you're dealing with these too much, I would say that you need to find a therapist and not romanticize life the way that the TikTok people are showing you to do. At the end of the day, I feel like that romanticizing life in the way that the New York Times article describes it can be very good for you from time to time, maybe even every day sometimes, like celebrating the small things. We have seen today that this is actually very different from what the internet shows as romanticizing life. There's no formula or way that you can perfectly romanticize your life into a perfect princess life, because that just doesn't exist. Like, even the princesses in books have issues, you know? Running away from your feelings kind of reminds me of that glow up trend that I talked about 2 weeks ago in a different code, which is a Dutch proverb, but I think you get what I mean. Like, you don't always have to be the happiest, nicest, best version of yourself, because that's just not gonna happen. And actually acting like you are that all the time is toxic positivity, if you ask me. I do think the internet has kind of lost the plot with this romanticizing life thing, but let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. If you like my video, I would appreciate it if you could press those wonderful shiny like and subscribe buttons, and then I will see you next time. Ciao!